for a Lone Star State matchup with the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers.
The Texas Rangers lead the AL West, but their big bat Josh Hamilton is out for the series, so the Rangers have to rely on other capable hitters tonight. Baseball Night in America presented by Budweiser. 91 degrees at the ballpark in Arlington as the Texas Rangers take on the Houston Astros. They've won 3 out of 4 in their meetings between them as interleague baseball continues. And welcome everyone to Arlington. Dick Stockton along with Tom Verducci. And Tom, everyone remembers their first major league game. And for Justin Grimm, the starting pitcher for the Rangers, he is making his debut tonight.
And it's a surprise to everybody, including Justin Grimm. Drafted only 2 years ago. He wasn't even in big league camp this spring. A couple of days ago, he's in Double-A ball. But the Rangers are giving him the ball, Dick, in part because they believe he can handle the big league environment and a sold-out crowd. And the Astros have really faced some tough pitching lately. They really have. You think about just in the last week, Chris Sale, Madison Bumgarner, the perfect game by Matt Cain. And then last night, Yu Darvish with 11 strikeouts. I'm not sure it gets any easier. Justin Grimm has the unknown factor going for him tonight. All right. Who knows what's in the stomach of Justin Grimm before the full house tonight. 23-year-old right-hander making his major league debut as the Astros and Rangers tee it up. And we'll be right back. Tonight's starting lineup for the Astros brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Jordan Schaefer will lead off in center field. Jose Altuve will be at second base. Jed Lowry at shortstop. And Brett Wallace batting cleanup at first base. Chris Johnson will be at third. Brian Bogasevic will be in right field. The DH is J.D. Martinez. Justin Maxwell will be in left field. And Chris Snyder will be batting in the ninth spot behind the plate as the Astros and Rangers wearing the 1986 uniforms. But for Justin Grimm, it all starts tonight.
You look at his numbers there in Double-A. What jumps out at me there is the 14 walks. He's a control pitcher. There's no question that's the reason why he's here.
Here's the scouting report. He needs to handle 3 decks. No, we're not asking him to be a blackjack dealer. There's a difference between AA and the big leagues. That's the 3rd deck on the stadium. So you're talking about the big league environment. First inning, very critical for him. And also fastball foundation. Everything works off his fastball. He does have a slurvy kind of breaking ball, an improving changeup. But as he said, I'm a power pitcher, and I need that fastball.
And his parents are here as well. And they are as anxious as he is. And we're set to go. The opening pitch tonight is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. So Justin Grimm, who comes in after a 1.87 ERA in 13 starts at AA Frisco, the lowest ERA in the Texas League. And stepping in will be Jordan Schaefer, hitting .241 with 2 homers and 15 runs batted in. And the first pitch of Grimm's career is in for strike 1. Grimm did not have impressive numbers at college at the University of Georgia, but the scouts saw something in him. And there's the breaking pitch missing, and it's 1-1.
Well, I think it's a good point, Dick, because he did have an ERA over 5 at college at the University of Georgia. But you're right, they loved his arm action. They really changed him mechanically, but the arm action sold them.
And a fly ball hit out of play to the left, and the count 1-2.
Yeah, going back to when he was at Georgia, he had what I call a 3-part delivery, where he'd bring his hands up above his head, behind his head, really kind of a violent start to his delivery. And you watch him tonight, he keeps those hands in front of him at all times, drop down to the belt, but they don't get over his head.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Schaefer, the leadoff hitter. Grimm allowed more than 1 walk only once in his last 10 starts, so he's a pitcher who throws strikes. And a line drive base hit to center field starts it off for the Astros. Jordan Schaefer is aboard with a leadoff single.
Yeah, we talked about the slurvy breaking ball that he throws. This was not a good pitch in terms of location. That ball's just up too much for him. Again, I think this first inning, Dick, very important for him. You see him slip a little bit on the follow-through, but left that breaking ball up. He just needs to get through this first inning as clean as he can.
Mitch Moreland is holding the runner on as Jose Altuve steps in. He's having a terrific year. 8th in the league in hitting, batting .320. And 81 hits as well, 3rd in the National League. And the throw over to keep Schaefer close. Schaefer has 15 stolen bases. Outfield playing around a little bit to the right against the right-handed hitting Altuve. And the third baseman Beltre playing a few steps in. And the pitch to Altuve is taken for a ball, 1-1.
We talked to Brad Mills about trying to get some intelligence on Justin Grimm. He did pitch against their AA affiliate, so they did speak with people there. And one of the things they're really curious about is his time to home plate. That last one, he did not show a slide step. That's something that George Schaefer is going to be studying each pitch.
1-0 pitch hit into the air to center field. Gentry going back. Makes the catch for out number 1, and Schaefer returns to first. 1 gone for the Astros. Let's take a look at the Rangers defensively. David Murphy, Craig Gentry, and Nelson Cruz in the outfield. Beltre, Andrews, Kinsler, and Moreland in the infield. And Mike Napoli behind the plate catching Justin Grimm. Rangers coming in 8th in the American League in fielding. And Jed Lowry, the switch hitting shortstop, stepping in with 1 out and 1 on. Hey, Tom, the Astros have really, even though they are 10 games under 500 with Altuve and Lowry, pretty good shortstop second base combo.
Well, it's one of the best in the game. Their production offensively trails that only of the Yankees duo of Cano and Jeter. Surprising power out of Lowry this year. I say surprising because I don't think the Astros thought he'd be a 25 home run hitter. It certainly looks that way early on here. 12
home runs, already a career high, and he's on pace to hit at least 30 this year. And Justin Grimm's parents want to get a little closer look. And a call strike to Lowry.
I think they deserve to get upgraded. Don't you think your son's making his big league debut?
How about behind the dugout? Come on.
That's got to be such a thrill, not just for Justin, obviously for his parents to be here.
Grimm, a native of Bristol, Virginia. No balls and a strike to Lowry, and he takes a call strike. That pitch down, and Lowry questioning it somewhat, right at the knees.
That's his bread and butter right there, Justin Grimm. 93, you said it, Dick, at the knees. Good command of both sides of the plate to right-handers and left-handers with that fastball. Everything works off the location of the fastball. And back inside with the fastball here.
Crowd rooting for the first big league strikeout for Grimm, and he just misses with a breaking ball inside. 93 miles an hour there, so the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Drafted in the 5th round in 2010 out of the University of Georgia, and he did appear in the 2008 College World Series, which is underway now in Omaha. The runner goes, the 1-2 pitch taken for a ball, the throw to second, and Schaefer is out at second. And second base umpire Dan Iasonia waited until he knew for sure. Good throw by Napoli, and Schaefer is erased.
Well, we talk about throwing out runners. You tend to focus on the catcher. It's a great job by Napoli on a pitch that's difficult to handle. Great release. And you see, not a great jump there by Jordan Schaefer, but give Justin Grimm credit because he varied his looks every time. He did not slide step that time, but it showed enough slide steps that Jordan Schaefer did not have a read.
And the 2-2 pitch hit in the air, deep to right center field. Gentry going back, looking up. It's gone. A home run for Jed Lowry. His 13th home run of the year, and there it is. Lowry's power. And the Astros have taken a 1-0 lead here in the top of the first. 13th homer for Lowry and his 30th run batted in.
Turn that around quickly. Watch this again. Fastball. That's just too much middle. But give Lowry credit, not missing this at all. He has become really a pull power hitter as well. Not just a power hitter. Drove that a long way.
Here's Brett Wallace. And Wallace taking down low, ball 1. Reaction of his parents to the home run. One of them, the daughter, doesn't want to look. And if you're going to pitch for a long time in the big leagues, you're going to give up a lot of goals.
That's exactly right. Well, Ron Washington told us before the game, hey, listen, they're all big league hitters up there. You have to trust your stuff, but you will get hit. You have to be prepared for that. Mistakes that you got away with in Double-A, as we see here, go out of the ballpark at this level.
1 ball, 1 strike to first baseman Brett Wallace, hitting .364 and steps out. And of course, Ron Washington said, what do you expect from the pitcher tonight? Just keep us in the game for as long as you can. That's down low. Off-speed pitch, 2-1 the count. And Ron Washington, who has led the Rangers to back-to-back World Series appearances, and they have a 4-game lead right now in the AL West. There's a call strike, 4 games ahead of the Angels. Breaking ball, and Wallace strikes out. Only his 34th at-bat since coming up to the Astros, but a 2-out home run by Jed Lowry gives the Astros the lead. 1-0, Rangers coming up in the first. By Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. Ian Kinsler leading off. Elvis Andrus batting second. The DH is Michael Young. Adrian Beltre batting cleanup. Nelson Cruz hitting fifth. David Murphy batting in the sixth spot. Mike Napoli hitting seventh. Mitch Moreland batting eighth. And Craig Gentry getting the start in center field and batting ninth against Lucas Harrell. 6-4 record, and the first pitch is a strike to Kinsler. Harrell 6-4, making his 14th appearance of the year. And a shot hit to center field. Jordan Schaefer has room and fights the sun and makes the catch for out number one.
Well, typically that's not part of Harrell's game. He wants to keep the ball down as much as he can. That's why I call him the air traffic control. Keep the skies clear, keep the ball on the ground, sinker ball pitcher. Best with rest. This is unusual for a sinker ball pitcher. He's actually 4-0 with a 3.34 ERA with extra rest, which he brings into the game today. Now, a lot of sinker ball pitchers, you say they have more action when they're tired, right? Well, he's more of a power sinker ball guy, and he has responded well to the extra rest. 92-93 power sinker.
Elvis Andrus stepping in, and that's kind of unusual for a sinker ball pitcher. If they have too much power, it kind of flattens out, which is not what you want. As Andrus takes the first pitch for ball one. He's hitting .299 with a homer and 27 runs batted in. Had a 3-for-4 night in the Rangers' 6-2 victory to start this three-game series. Count is 1-1. Breaks outside. 2-1.
You see Harrell here, classic sinker ball pitcher, kind of a short strider right over the top.
Ground ball to second base. Altuve makes the play. And there are two down here in the Ranger first inning. Taking a look at the Astros with Maxwell Schaefer and Bogasevic in the outfield. Johnson, Lowry, Altuve, and Wallace man the infield. Chris Snyder behind the plate. And Lucas Harrell, who beat the Rangers on May 19th. That's the only win that the Astros have in their season series so far. It's 3-1 in favor of Texas as the DH Michael Young comes up.
And that game you mentioned, Dick, that was an anomaly for him. He had a career-high 6 strikeouts in that game. He really pitches the contact. And he had 15 swings and misses. Very unusual for him.
And Young fouls it back 1-1.
I actually think his best game this year was against the Dodgers, beat Clayton Kershaw, threw 94 pitches, and had 0 swings and misses. He's on his game when the ball is off the barrel of the bat, but pitches to contact.
Considered a rookie, even though he pitched in the big leagues in 2010 and then again in 2011, and he beat the White Sox in his last start. And might have had a little revenge motive there since the White Sox dropped him. 2 balls and 1 strike with 2 down to Michael Young. And that evens the count, 2-2. Rangers coming in 38-27. They started the season 15-4, but since then, Ron Washington's club has played 500 ball, but the 11 games over 500 is good enough for the 4-game lead over the Angels, which is their largest since June the 8th. Hit right at Altuve, and it'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Lucas Harrell. 1-2-3 inning for the Rangers. Astros come up in the second, leading 1-0. Is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Astros leading 1-0 on Jed Lowry's home run in the first inning. It'll be Chris Johnson, Brian Bogusevic, and J.D. Martinez facing Justin Grimm, who threw 17 pitches in the first inning. Johnson hitting .274, 5 homers, has knocked in 27 runs, and takes a strike. Chris Johnson been up and down after being drafted in 06 since he reached the big leagues in 09, but has been with the Astros all season. Fouls it back, and Grimm is ahead of him, 2 strikes. And he's out. 3 strikes, so Grimm, after striking out Wallace, gets Johnson to start the second inning.
Yeah, he's settled down now because that's a great bread and butter pitch for him. Napoli setting up outside corner, really doesn't have to move the glove. Perfect 0-2 pitch. I like the fact, Dick, that he does not go to a waste pitch there. Watch his motion here, the speed of it, the rhythm, you really have to like. When he hurries, he's hurrying late. I talked about his delivery in college. When he put his hands over his head, he was actually hurrying at the start of his delivery.
Brian Bogusevic takes ball 1 outside.
So give the Rangers a lot of credit, especially the scout, Randy Coe, who's here today watching this player he drafted. Because when you take a guy at college who has a losing record and an ERA near 6, it takes the eyes of a scout to say there's something there. And what they did is they really tweaked him mechanically. Always loved the arm, and Dick, what you're seeing here today is 2 years of player development work that I think everybody in the Rangers system can be proud of.
You know, Tom, I think also scouts and managers love guys who are coachable, and that's what he is.
That's a great point. There's no question he has come quickly because he is coachable.
In the dirt, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. And showing poise here in the first inning. He gave up that home run to Jed Lowry, then struck out Wallace to end the first, got Johnson on a called 3rd strike. Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, watching closely. Reaching out and fouling it off. It remains 2-2 to Bogusevic, who comes in hitting .229. Temperature has risen to 93 degrees. I think it's a typical Texas Saturday night, June evening.
Well, that's another way of saying it's hitter's weather, Dick, especially in this ballpark. And that ball that Lowry hit, players will tell you they feel like there's a jet stream in this ballpark going out towards right center field. The ball really does carry well to that area.
And they said they measured 409 feet on that home run by Lowry. Breaking ball, and did he go around? And he did. Ball gets away from Napoli, and he throws him out. So they checked with C.B. Buckner, and Bogusevic goes down. That's 3 strikeouts. Play made catcher to first base, and there were 2 down.
Now he's getting the breaking ball down. You see there Bogusevic tried to check. You saw the strikeout to Wallace on the fastball. Now the breaking ball down. He's definitely finding his slot here and his rhythm.
J.D. Martinez, the designated hitter. 37 runs batted in for Martinez. And the first pitch is a strike. Well, if they say that Justin Grimm throws strikes, he's doing it here.
Very important for him. They say it's the great pitch, the best pitch in baseball. First pitch, strike.
And gets the pitch in on the fist, fought off by Martinez. And 2 strikes the count to the DH for the Astros. Check swing on the breaking ball.
That was a great shot of Napoli there. Not just giving the sign to the young pitcher, but emphasizing get that curveball down. You see him tap the glove, body language saying keep it down.
And he strikes out the side, and 4 straight strikeouts for Justin Grimm. Retires the side in order. Adrian Beltre will start it off for the Rangers when they come up in the bottom of the second of a 1-0 Astro lead. By Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buzz. Rangers batting in the bottom of the second inning against Lucas Harrell and Adrian Beltre, hitting .304 with 10 homers and 39 runs batted in. And takes a strike. Beltre 2 for 4 with an RBI last night. Has not homered since late May.
Dick, I actually think this is the toughest out for Harrell in the Texas lineup. Beltre, great low ball hitter. So Harrell's strength is Beltre's strength. And Beltre is 3 for 4 lifetime against Harrell.
And hits a shot to center field. And coming over to make the catch is Jordan Schaefer. But Beltre hit the ball solidly. And there's one gone for the Rangers in the second. Time now for tonight's Ford Go Further keys to the game.
Well, length from Harrell. They need innings from their starting pitcher. The bullpen has thrown 16 innings in the last 4 games. That's key. For the Rangers, they need to build a new bridge to their closer, Joe Nathan. Why? Well, Alexi Ogando, Feldman, and Uehara all are not available in the bullpen, either in the rotation or hurt. So guys like Mark Lowe, Robbie Ross, guys typically picking up outs in the 6th or 7th inning, they're pushed deeper into the game to 7th or 8th inning situations to get the ball to the closer.
Nelson Cruz, the batter, and the count 1-1 to him. Cruz missed 3 games with a virus this week, and this is his 3rd game back. Way behind that pitch from Harrell, and you remember the big hero in last year's ALCS, the MVP with 6 home runs. And helped leading the Rangers into the World Series. Here's the 1-2, and the count even 2-2. Josh Hamilton, by the way, who is 2nd in the league in hitting and leads in homers and RBIs, suffered intestinal virus, released from the hospital today. Foul off the foot of Cruz, and he hits the ground in a hurry. And this was a tough one, and he plans to work out tomorrow, but not expected to play until Monday as Cruz tries to walk it off.
Cruz, one of these guys, hits with the open stance here, steps into the ball and looked like it, got him on the inside of the foot there. Ow.
Let's hear this.
Oh, that's going to hurt.
And that's Bill Miller, the home plate umpire. He kind of knew what Nelson Cruz was feeling right there.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of true empathy there because you know they get nicked up a lot back there as well.
They sure do. So taking all the time he needs. And Ron Washington out to check on Cruz. It's been tough for him lately. Left last Saturday's game with a sore Achilles. Then he had the virus, and now he fouls a ball off of his instep. But appears to be all right.
There's a lot of pitchers, Dick, who after a ball is fouled off the foot, they want to go right back inside. The sting is still there. You obviously don't want to do it again. Let's see if he pounds him inside here.
Strikes him out on a fastball up in the zone, and the first strikeout for Lucas Harrell. And right now, let's go to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break. All right, thank you very much, Matt. And the throw to first base. And what a play made to end the inning. A terrific play in the infield. We'll take a look before we go to commercial. Altuve gets it over to Harrell. That's one for the books, that play. Top of the third inning here in Arlington. The Astros lead the Rangers 1-0. Rookie Justin Grimm facing Justin Maxwell, who fouls off the first pitch for a strike. Maxwell comes in hitting .240, 7 homers and 20 runs batted in. Boy, can he hit long home runs, Tom. Hit a home run last night. Got 2 hits.
Yeah, he's actually hit one 471 feet this year. The third longest in the major leagues this year. He's got a couple others in the 430, 440 range. Big guy, 6'5", 235. Dead pull hitter. That's where his power is. Left field, left center.
And Justin Grimm with the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Breaking ball, and going after it was Maxwell. How about how Justin Grimm has rebounded after Jed Lowry hit that 409-foot home run in the first inning, has struck out 4 straight hitters.
See here once again the breaking ball. Where is it? Down in the dirt. Can't get hurt down there.
And the 1-2. And he strikes out. Tag put on by Napoli. So 5 straight strikeouts by Justin Grimm since the home run by Lowry. And there's 1 gone in the third.
See, he told me his curveball was more of a slurvy pitch, Dick. I'm not buying that. That's got some bite on it. That's a true overhand curveball right there. Downward action. Location being everything. Mike Napoli doing a great job working with this young pitcher early in the game.
It's pretty sharp, that curveball. Chris Snyder, the number 9 hitter, and the Astros catcher, looks at a breaking ball in for the strike. Snyder playing in his 31st game this year, hitting .188 with 3 homers and 16 runs batted in. But he almost has an RBI per base hit. He has 18 hits and 16 runs batted in. That's a pretty good ratio.
I'm watching Grimm on the mound. I haven't seen a shake-off yet. I think he's doing the right thing. Put the game in the hands of Napoli.
Line drive right to Kinsler. And that will be out number 2, and will bring up the top of the order in Jordan Schaefer.
Now remember, Mike Napoli is learning Justin Grimm as well. Justin Grimm was not in the big league camp. We talked with Ron Washington, the Rangers manager, said I've never seen him throw. He was not in big league camp. So as a pitcher, you just have to trust, even if the catcher has never caught you before. Mike Napoli knows hitters, knows the game plan. It's one more element just removed from the game. Let the catcher call the pitches, follow along.
Didn't have much advice. He says, look, he has enough on his plate coming up to the big leagues. Let him just go out there and do what he does. First pitch to Schaefer is down low for a ball. So Snyder's line drive ends the string of 5 consecutive strikeouts. And Napoli working with the rookie. That pitch down low again. 2-0. Astros are 10 games under 500, 5th in the NL Central, 9.5 behind Cincinnati and 2 behind Milwaukee, the team they're closest to chasing. And now Grimm with his first 3-0 count, first 3-ball count that he's had in the game. There's a strike. Now the hitters are seeing him for the second time around.
That's right. Now, obviously, Jordan Schaefer is the guy, even though they caught him stealing last time. You want to keep him off the bases. Best stolen base threat with Houston.
Singled in the first inning. It's a ground ball. Kinsler to his left makes the play. And a 1-2-3 inning. Astros retired in the third. Lowry's home run the difference thus far. Fox Baseball Night in America is presented by Budweiser. Nick Stockton along with Tom Verducci, senior writer at Sports Illustrated, here at Arlington. Mike Napoli leading off against Lucas Harrell, the bottom third of the Ranger order here in the third inning. And the first pitch is taken for ball one. Napoli hitting .246, 11 homers and 29 runs batted in. Slumping as of late, but the Rangers think he's really on the verge of busting out.
Yeah, the Rangers have some real streak hitters in Nelson Cruz and Mike Napoli. Cuts both ways, obviously.
And it's fouled back. That one 93 miles an hour, and the count 1-2. Napoli will be followed by Mitch Moreland and Craig Gentry. Harrell has retired the first 6 batters he's faced, helped by a littering play defensively to end the second inning. Goes sidearm, and is a shot into the gap in right center field, and it's cut off by Bogusevic. And going back to first base is Napoli. So Bogusevic covering it well, and Napoli limited to a single.
Well, it's a nice job by Napoli here with the ball away from him. Not trying to do too much with it. See the opening there in right center field. Nice job by Bogusevic to cut that ball off.
And that's the first hit.
We'll see Harrell working out the stretch here for the first time.
Facing Mitch Moreland, batting .276. 10 homers and 24 runs batted in. Moreland, the number 8 hitter, playing first base tonight. Homered in last night's series opener. 1-0.
This is when you know you're not in the National League, Dick. The number 8 hitter in the lineup is a guy who hit one in the upper tank last night. He's got 10 home runs, great power. But this is what the Astros are going to get used to next year. Switching leagues to the American League West.
So it'll be common for the Astros to play the Rangers instead of an interleague play. Ground ball hit to Altuve. They get one before the first, not in time. So Napoli is erased on a fielder's choice, and Moreland's aboard. Well, next Saturday on Baseball Night in America, interleague play continues as the AL East leading Yankees head to Queens to take on the Mets, or the NL West leading Dodgers take on the Angels in Anaheim or other regional action. Baseball Night in America telecast presented by Budweiser begins next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox. Check your local listings for the game and start time in your area. So with Moreland aboard, Craig Gentry, the number 9 hitter, comes in hitting .337, has knocked in 15 runs. Ball one outside.
And I think if you talk about Ron Washington, putting Craig Gentry in the lineup tonight, to me, tells you all you need to know about him. You know, they brought up Leonis Martin, the young left-handed switch hitting center fielder, in place of Josh Hamilton for this series. Martin had the start last night, and you would think, okay, right-handed pitcher on the mound, you stick with a left-handed bat. Well, no. Ron Washington said, Gentry is a very important part of my team. What am I going to do? Put him on the bench for 3 straight days? I need to play him. And he's a guy who does hit .292 against right-handed pitching anyway.
And this is what Ron Washington feels. It's a 162-game season, and he says, look, I know our team will play 162 games, and so it means making moves like this. Ground ball to shortstop. Lowry, Altuve, and safe at first base is Gentry. Had enough speed to beat the throw. So Moreland is erased, and now Gentry, with 2 out, becomes the base runner.
It's a nice job by Altuve just to make this close, because Gentry from the right side gets down the line just about as fast as any right-handed hitter. Normally that's a routine double play ball, and that's just pure speed to get the Rangers another at-bat in this inning. See the pivot here by Altuve.
So Gentry's aboard, and here's Ian Kinsler, Ranger leadoff hitter, up for the second time. Fly to center his first time up. And the throw over to first base. Kinsler is leading the American League in runs scored and in doubles, but is 0 for his last 13. He was ejected on Thursday, arguing a called third strike in the third inning.
Well, to me, this is a running situation here if I'm Ron Washington.
Pitch is inside.
And I mean early in the count. You know, Harrell's a guy who's not particularly adept at keeping runners close at first. Runners are 9 out of 11 on stolen base attempts. We talked about Gentry's speed with 2 outs. I definitely see this as a running opportunity for Texas.
8 stolen bases for Gentry. Has a good lead and has to dive back again. Kinsler fly to center in the first inning. Beltre led off the second with a fly ball, but there have been 5 ground ball outs so far, and you can see Harrell paying a lot of attention to Craig Gentry.
Yeah, and listen, Gentry can score on a ball. If Kinsler puts one into the gap, he can score from first base, but if he does get thrown out, you've got your leadoff hitter leading off the next inning.
Harrell, one of the best at getting ground ball outs. The runner doesn't go, and Kinsler takes the pitch for a strike. 1-1 the count to Ian Kinsler, one of 5 position players on the Rangers who are leading right now in the All-Star balloting. Of course, the next balloting comes out Monday, and a lot has to do with whether you've been home or on the road, so that could change. Slowly hit to shortstop. Lowry makes the play to first, and that'll do it. 1 hit and 1 left. We've completed 3 here in Arlington, and the Astros have a 1-0 lead. Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB. And by Jaguar. See the new model year lineup at your local Jaguar retailer. Astros leading 1-0, batting in the 4th inning, Jose Altuve. Fly to Gentry in center field leading off. Altuve, once listed at 5'7", now at 5'5", and is the shortest active MLB player. Moves back a bit as he takes a breaking ball, 1-0.
And he's very proud of that 5'5". He's the one who corrected the Astros on it. Truth in advertising, he said, hey, I'm not 5'7". And there's definitely a height bias in this game. I mean, he showed up, a 16-year-old, at a tryout for the Astros. It was a 2-day tryout. After the first day, they told him, you know what? Don't come back tomorrow. You're too small. What did he do? He came back tomorrow.
And he's back in here today.
And they signed him. I mean, all he's done on any level is just hit, hit, hit. He's got tremendous hand-eye coordination. One of the highest contact rates in all of baseball. When he swings, generally, the wood's going to hit the ball.
Faced John Roush on May 1st, who's 6'11", the tallest player in Major League history. And the 18-inch height differential is believed to be the biggest between pitcher and batter, except for Eddie Goodell. Eddie Goodell was a midget who came up to pinch hit Bill Beck, the old owner for the Browns. There's a shot hit deep to left field. Going back is Murphy looking up, and it's off the top of the wall. Altuve will go into second with a double to start the fourth inning for the Astros. Their third hit of the game.
Well, you see it right there. Watch, this is going to be a fastball up. Altuve, not just a guy who's just making contact. He hit a home run in Chicago this year that went way out. When he turns on pitches inside, this is the result.
Just missing a home run, not by much. And that'll bring up Jed Lowry. So Altuve, who hit a home run and stole home last Sunday against the White Sox. And now Lowry, who homered into center field his first time up, his 13th home run of the year. Nobody out. Altuve with a short lead at second. Andrus wants to keep him close. Strike on the outside corner.
Now, Ron Washington, not a big believer in defensive shifts, certainly not extreme shifts. But Jed Lowry, we talked about this, not just a power hitter, but a pull hitter. So you saw the defense swung around there.
Andrus now moving back a few steps. Breaking ball, and it's in again. Keeping the ball away from Lowry, and the count 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's the key, keeping the ball away. He knows that Lowry wants to get the ball to the right side here to move the runner over. That doesn't mean you totally dismiss the inside part of the plate. You still have to show him both sides, even if it's off the plate. Let's go down with a breaking ball again.
And a shot, one hop, handled by Moreland. He'll make the play unassisted. Pretty nifty play by Mitch Moreland as Altuve goes to third, and there's one gone here in the fourth.
Yeah, I really like what Mike Napoli is doing behind the plate here, reinforcing getting that ball down on every breaking ball. A lot of times you'll see with a runner on second base, the catcher will give decoys. In other words, he'll tap the ground. It'll be a fastball up because he doesn't want the runner on second relaying signs. Mike Napoli doesn't care about that. Keep it simple with a young pitcher making his major league debut. Doing a great job running the game behind the plate.
And Ron Washington brings his infield in this 1-0 game with Brett Wallace stepping up and takes a big cut on a breaking ball, strike one. Wallace struck out his first time up. So the tying, or the run, is at third base in Altuve. And the infield is in against Wallace. Call strike.
Right. With the heat here in Texas, Dick, they really have trouble keeping grass. So they replace it often. They replaced it on the last road trip when Texas was on the road. You could actually see the lines of the sod in there. In other words, there hasn't been time for the sod to knit together. And I talked to Michael Young, one of the infielders. He said it's dangerous out there, especially in this situation with the infield in. The ball will not get a true hop through the grass as it knifes through all these little lanes, if you will, these channels of sod there. The ball can snake and go in any different direction. Difficult situation with the infield in on this grass. And
they think after a while it will settle down and it will be slower than quicker right now. And this is the third straight year they've done this to the infield.
Yeah, well, it'll be good for a while. Then they'll have to replace it again. I mean, it's tough. Pitting the groundskeepers here in a place like this where you do have the extreme weather through the summer, it's tough to maintain grass.
Chris Johnson waits on deck for the Astros. Leading 1-0, have a runner at third with one out. And a big swing and a foul back. And Grimm is ahead of Brett Wallace, 2 strikes. Curveball in the dirt. Napoli makes the stop, and it's 1-2. Those 5 consecutive strikeouts by Justin Grimm is a Rangers record for a pitcher making his major league debut. 23-year-old right-hander distinguishing himself in his first appearance. And inside, 2-2 now. Altuve led off with a double, advanced to third on Lowry's ground ball to the right side. Rangers looking to cut off another run here. Another breaking ball, swung on and missed, foul tipped into Napoli's glove, and Wallace goes down, and there are 2 gone. And right now, let's send it over to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break.
Dick, dating back to last season, Tampa Bay's beaten the Marlins in 8 straight. James Shields beat him 5 days ago, but Jose Reyes with a 2-run single has given Miami an early lead today. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Dick and Tom.
All right, thank you, Matt. And Washington leading Atlanta by 3.5. Miami 500 at this point. So now the infield moves back with 2 gone, and Chris Johnson, who took a called third strike, to lead off the second inning. In at the plate, takes ball 1 outside.
I'll tell you, Dick, very impressed by Grimm so far. I'm not so impressed with his skills as a scout, though. He was telling me about that slurvy breaking ball. Once again, the one he threw Wallace had that real downward bite to it.
Tom, you got to get over that.
I'll tell you, it's impressive. I think he set me up.
Maybe that's the pitch he was talking about right there.
Well, you know, he does throw a changeup, and you would think he would have to incorporate that against the left-handed hitters in the Houston lineup, but the breaking ball has been so good, he really hasn't had the need for the third pitch.
Well, this has been his reputation. 2-0 the count, runner at third, 2 out, and a great breaking ball over for a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. And there's Ryan Coe.
He looks like he's throwing every pitch with Justin, doesn't he?
Flew him in for this game.
You know, as he said, give the Rangers front office credit as well to give scouts the latitude to go sign guys and sell players who maybe not have great numbers.
3-1 now to Johnson. Bogusevic is on deck if Johnson can get aboard. Astros trying to take advantage of the leadoff double by Altuve. As you look at Mark and Tamara, Grimm, Justin's parents watching his big league debut today. Breaking ball in there for the strike, and the count is full.
Well, he locked up Johnson there, 3-1 there with the confidence to throw that breaking ball. Let's see if he doubles up on that breaking ball here, even on a 3-2 count. It seems like he's been able to throw that pitch at will. Napoli showing tremendous confidence in the breaking ball.
We got the scout, we got the parents, and here's the pitcher with 3-2 and 2 out. And a high pop-up, playable down the right field line. And coming over to make the catch is Nelson Cruz, and that'll do it. So a leadoff double is wasted. 1 hit and 1 left. Michael Young will be up second for the Rangers in the 4th, trailing the Astros 1-0. Rangers ballpark in Arlington. Dick Stockton and Tom Bertucci. Elvis Andrus starting it off in the 4th inning for Texas. And he takes ball 1 from Lucas Harrell. Andrus bounced to Altuve. Astros second baseman his first time up. There's a strike, and it's 1-1.
I'll tell you one thing I really like about Harrell, Dick. He barely leaves the pitching rubber. In other words, a pitcher controls the game with his stuff, but he also controls the pace of the game. And especially when you're a ground ball pitcher, you rely so much on your infielder. Keep them on their toes. And a foul ball in this situation, but generally after each pitch, he won't deviate from that rubber more than a couple of inches. Gets the ball ready to go. Infielders love that.
Began his career with the White Sox, was a 4th-round pick in 04 and missed all of 07 with elbow surgery. Made his major league debut with the White Sox in 2010 as Andrus lifts a fly ball to right field. Bogusevic handles it, and there's 1 out in the 4th inning. What drama in the last pitch of the last inning, Tom.
Yeah, you didn't think that was a big pitch? Just watch these reactions. You see his parents. Look at Mark. His dad is nice and calm. He knows that's an out. His mom is getting anxious, doesn't know whether it's going to fall or not. And how about the scout, Ryan Coe? He's a little nervous there, too. Did you see that? He got up out of his seat on a pop up to right field.
You know, the calmest guy may be Justin Grimm.
Absolutely.
Michael Young coming up now with 1 out in the Ranger 4th inning. Young bounced out, second to first, his first time up. Takes a strike. How about Michael Young selected as the shortstop in the fan vote this week for the 40th anniversary Rangers team, but that wasn't all.
He's so good, he actually got 2 spots on the team. Shortstop and second base. No Alex Rodriguez on that team. That was fan voting.
Chopper to shortstop. Lowry throws out Young. And there's 2 down here in the 4th. Well, today is the second to last day to donate to the Prostate Cancer Foundation Home Run Challenge. Any home run hit in tonight's game will earn $16,000 for each one. We've raised more than $1.6 million for this cause over the last few weeks. And for more information, call 1-800-798-CURE or go online at www.pcf.org. And we already have the home run from Lowry as Beltre reaches for this pitch and misses. Strike 1 with 2 out to Beltre, who fly to center his first time up. And another breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, see those last 2 pitches. You know, that cutter slider that Lucas throws, that great downward action, perfect location, down and away. We talked about this tough matchup.
1-2 now to Beltre.
And so far staying away from his strength, which is that sinker, that fastball down at the knees. Snyder here shaking up on this ball, hops up on him.
And of course, Bill Miller, the umpire, will give the catcher, you mentioned it earlier, it's happening up to umpires, all the time he needs to settle himself. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And another foul ball at the plate. Adrian Beltre in his 15th year in the big leagues, second with the Rangers.
Say, they're getting nicked up around the plate tonight, aren't they? Adrian's got that long stride. It's pretty common for him. I'm surprised he doesn't wear one of those guards on that front leg.
Nelson Cruz took the most punishment. He's the on-deck hitter if Beltre can reach. He fouled one off the instep in his first time at bat. Check swing. And taken for the ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Beltre. 2 out. Lucas Harrell has allowed 1 hit. Leadoff single by Mike Napoli in the 3rd inning. And a shot hit to left field. Justin Maxwell over his head and off the wall. Retrieved by Maxwell, and Beltre goes into second with a 2-out double. He's hit safely in 9 of his last 11 now.
Well, we talked about the way Harrell stayed out of his own strength with Beltre. There you see the breaking ball, probably his third pitch leading up there. Again, I think Beltre is such a good low fastball hitter, even though that's Lucas Harrell's best pitch that entire at bat, trying to cut and spin the ball away from Beltre. And in that case, that's obviously a mistake in location, not so much the choice of the pitch, but when it's not your best pitch, you're more liable to make a mistake.
Nelson Cruz struck out his first time up. So the Rangers have a tying run in scoring position with 2 down. And there's a chopper to Lowry. Routine play for the Astros shortstop, and that'll do it. Beltre with a 2-out double is stranded at second. We go to the 5th inning here in Arlington with the Astros clinging to a 1-0 lead. Astros leading 1-0. Jed Lowry's first inning home run has been the difference. Brian Bogusevic leading off against Justin Grimm. And another sellout here in Arlington, the 19th sellout of the year. Bogusevic struck out his first time up, takes outside ball 1. The club record, most sellouts, 21 back in 1994. So they come out in full force, and why not for a team that reached the World Series the last 2 years.
Fun team to watch, plenty of offense, even without Josh Hamilton, maybe not today, out of the lineup.
There's a shot to right field, and could be extra bases off the right field wall. Nelson Cruz retrieves, and into second is Bogusevic with a leadoff double here in the 5th inning. And moments ago, we talked to Mike Maddox, the Rangers pitching coach, and his reaction to Justin Grimm so far, especially after striking out so many following Lowry's homer.
Well, I tell you what, for anybody to go out there in their debut and you get through that first inning, that's going to be the toughest inning of your career. He got through with 1 run, but he's come back. He struck out 4 in a row or 5 in a row there, and I think he's settling in nicely.
Mike, take us through his pregame, his bullpen, and the trust he's putting in Mike Napoli.
Well, that's what we talked about before the game. Don't worry about the hitters. Mike knows them. And just trust Nap. All you got to do is execute your pitches, because if you execute, we win.
Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You bet.
So far, Mike Maddox likes what he sees, but right now the Astros, for the second straight inning, lead off double. And J.D. Martinez, the DH, the count 1 strike. Astros leading 1-0 and looking for more. Off the fist and a ground ball to Mitch Moreland. He'll make the play unassisted. as Bogusevic goes to third, and there's one out and a runner at third.
And I'll tell you what, J.D. Martinez will get back to the dugout to a lot of high fives. His job there is to move the ball to the right side of the field, get the runner over. He's typically more of a pull hitter, Dick, so that's out of his element, but he gets the job done.
A tough pitch to hit to the right side.
It's a fastball inside on his hands. And just a little inside-out swing. Got the job done. It wasn't pretty, but deserving of the high fives.
So as the Rangers did last inning, they bring their infield in with one out and a runner at third base. Justin Maxwell struck out his first time up. Bogusevic has the lead at third, and there's a shot to right field, and that's going to get the run in at least over the head of Cruz. Extra bases. The Astros will get their second run, and Maxwell in at second with a double, his 21st RBI of the year, and it's 2-0 Houston.
Nice job. Fastball, first pitch hitting right here. And a pitch to me looked like it was out of the zone. He goes down and gets this pitch. Actually, it's more up than I thought. Ball away from him. Stayed on that. Now he's looking for a pitch to drive, and a fly ball to the outfield to get the runner in. Did his job and more.
So the Astros have a second run and another runner in scoring position in Chris Snyder, the number 9 batter, catching tonight, lined out to Ian Kinsler, his first trip to the plate. Astros have made some progress after last season's disastrous campaign. This is the second time this year they've been 10 games under 500. There's a off-speed breaking ball in there for a strike.
Dick, you talked about it for the Maxwell at bat and another situation inning earlier where Washington moved the infield in. I think that shows tremendous respect for the game that Lucas Harrell is pitching here. And the fact that, let's face it, this month for the Texas Rangers has not been their hottest month offensively. Even before Josh Hamilton went down for the weekend with the intestinal virus, he really was not hitting under 200 for the month with 1 home run. They've been a different team this month. The runs have not come as easily as they did in April and May, and that's the way Ron Washington is managing this game.
You're right. Kinsler and Andrews and Beltre have been down somewhat, and they've had injury problems with their pitching staff. They've kept their head above water, however. Time is called with the count 2 strikes to Snyder. Justin Grimm from Bristol, Virginia. He's the 8th starting pitcher used by the Rangers this season. And he strikes out Snyder on a curveball. That's the 7th strikeout. And there are 2 gone in the 5th. Well, help keep Dad in the game. Join Major League Baseball in supporting the Prostate Cancer Foundation with the Home Run Challenge. Visit MLBcommunity.org or HomeRunChallenge.org to learn more. We would also like to take a moment to recognize fathers and wish them all a happy Father's Day tomorrow. 7 strikeouts now for Grimm, and here's Jordan Schaefer up for the 3rd time, top of the order for Houston. Single to center his first time up. Thrown out attempting to steal and grounded out in the 3rd. There are doubles this inning for the Astros, getting their second run. Bogusevic leading off with a 2-bagger, and then Justin Maxwell lining one over Nelson Cruz head and right. He's on at second. Curveball slapped to the hole, through into left field for a base hit. Maxwell will come around and score, and the Astros have taken a 3-0 lead. So Jordan Schaefer with his second hit of the game, and an RBI, his 16th of the year.
Here we saw Grimm go back to the breaking balls on Snyder to get the big out. Went back to it here. First pitch on Jordan Schaefer. Check location. Not bad. Just a nice job of hitting. Inside outing that ball. That's, again, we talked about this. You know, a few days ago he's pitching in Double-A for Frisco, and here he is in the major leagues. You know, probably that's a rollover ground ball to second base in Double-A. Here you got a major league hitter. Even first pitch, doesn't try to do too much with it, gets the run in.
Different level now, and welcome to the big show. And Grimm and the Rangers are behind 3-0. Throw to first base, getting back is Schaefer. Interesting, Tom, you talk about the bit of hitting. the way Schaefer handled the bat and getting the RBI single, and the way Martinez was able to move the runner over earlier this inning.
Yeah, great execution on the Astros part. Brad Mills, the manager, is really emphasizing that. A lot of teaching this year with this Astros team. Youngest team in baseball. So you think about, hey, you're in the big leagues, you know how to play the game. Not necessarily so. Especially when you have a young team. The Astros work a lot on fundamentals.
And it's game-by-game adjustment. They review the game. This is what we did right. This is what we didn't do right. And it's a day-by-day situation.
And I think they have the right manager to handle those kind of inconsistencies that you're going to have with such a young team.
2 down. Schaefer with the lead at first base. 2 runs in for the Astros. Pitch out. Runner wasn't going. 1-0 the count to Altuve, who has flied to center and doubled. Kirkman is warming up. Michael Kirkman throwing in the Rangers bullpen. One and one now to Altuve.
I actually like that pitch out by Ron Washington. Obviously, Schaefer wasn't running there, but what he's telling you there is he has confidence in his young pitcher. Guy making his major league debut. I'm going to give you ball 1. You know, a lot of times you don't want to do that with a young pitcher unless you really believe he's got the ability to throw enough strikes. I see that not so much sniffing out a possible steal, but confidence in a strike thrower.
Good lead by Schaefer at first. Doesn't go, and the pitch is outside. 2-1. Altuve checking with Dave Clark, the third base coach for the Astros. Runner goes. Pitch taken for a strike. No throw. And Schaefer, who is thrown out attempting to steal in the first inning, gets his 16th stolen base here.
Well, he picked the right pitch here, got a breaking ball here. You'll watch his jump. You'll see no slide step this time, but a better jump, but more importantly, better pitch to run on with the breaking ball. And I think Mike Maddox and Ron Washington obviously watching Grimm here very, very closely. It's not so much the pitch count, he's at 77. It's the fact that he's had to pitch now the last 2 innings completely out of the stretch after leadoff doubles. High stress innings back to back.
2-2 to Altuve, and a comebacker, and that will do it. But not before the Astros get 3 hits, including 2 doubles, 2 more runs. And in the middle of the 5th inning here in Texas, a hand for Grimm. He may be on the short end, but pretty poised debut. Is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Well, the Rangers now trailing 3-0 coming up in the 5th inning against Lucas Harrell. And it'll be David Murphy starting it off. This is Harrell's 48th pitch of the game. He's done pretty well. The most pitches he's thrown in any inning was last inning when he threw 14. Murphy with the big hit last night in the 6-2 win, and a 5-run fifth looped a single to center field to drive in 2 runs with the bases loaded, and was robbed of a hit on a fine defensive play his first time up tonight. Two balls and a strike to Murphy. Mike Napoli on deck. Slap to the left side. Backhanded by Lowry. 1 down in the 5th. Well, the All-Star vote leaders, and the Rangers, as we said, have 5 position players in the lead right now, including Mike Napoli, who's stepping up. Kinsler is in there, along with Hamilton, Cruz, and Beltre. Napoli with a single, got the first hit of the game for the Rangers, leading off the 3rd, and takes ball 1. Two and 0.
It seems strange to see him get the 2-2 ball counts here. He's pitched this game like he parked his car and left the engine running. They came to this inning facing 14 batters and throwing 15 pitches out of the strike zone. So it's not just the fact that he stays around the rubber and doesn't take time between pitches. He's been attacking the zone.
Boy, his defense has to love that. Big swing by Napoli and misses 2 balls and a strike. Napoli, with all the things he can do in the power department, has been very adept at drawing walks this year.
Yeah, he's a tough out, but that tells you the kind of stuff that Harrell has there on it. Really a fastball count, a 2-0 count. He threw a 94-mile-an-hour sinker by him.
There's a strike, 2-2. And to say Lucas Harrell is in rhythm would be an understatement.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, too. You mentioned in rhythm. Absolutely. And he does it with different arm slots. You saw him drop down a little bit right there on Mike Napoli.
Goes over the top here. And the count runs full, 3-2 to the Rangers catcher. Harrell, a native of Ozark, Missouri, 27 years old. And he was quite the all-star at Ozark High. First Missouri championship in baseball. Basketball as well. And he credits his mother, Betty, who's a special education teacher at Ozark High School, for always being there for him. And she was also an usher for Springfield Cardinals baseball games. So I wonder who he was a fan of growing up.
Deep in the heart of Cardinals country right there, no doubt.
1 out, and once again the 3-2 pitch. Dropped down a little bit there and fouls it off. Napoli hanging in there against Lucas Harrell.
Yeah, that's a good emergency 2-strike swing there by Napoli. You said it, Dick, where he dropped down a little bit. You're seeing the same pitch but coming at different angles. So it looks like an entirely different pitch. He's a guy who pitches from the third base side of the rubber, and when he drops down, he can create angles.
3-2 pitch driven to center field. Jordan Schaefer is there to make the play. And Napoli, who hung around, is retired for round number 2. Well, this July, don't miss the biggest event of the summer as baseball's greatest stars battle for a home field advantage in the Fall Classic. The road to the World Series begins with the 2012 MLB All-Star Game Tuesday from Kansas City, July 10th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. So the All-Star Game in America's heartland. Mitch Moreland, strike 1 to him, reached on a fielder's choice his first time up. Harrell has allowed 2 hits, has not walked a batter. Check swing, did not go around.
He's pitching what I like to call an old school ball game. Why? Well, the strikeout rate in today's game is higher than it's ever been. And here he is pitching a gem with 1 strikeout. And oh, by the way, he's got those great looking stirrups.
Yeah.
That's old school right there.
And 1986 old school uniforms to boot. There's a call strike. And of course, a lot of people talking about the no-hitter perfect games. 5 no-hitters pitched. First time in history before the All-Star game. We've had 5 no-hitters, 2 perfect games. You wrote a great story this week in Sports Illustrated about the whys and wherefores of that situation. The 1-2 pitch, strike 3, and we're going to get to that before we're history here. That is the second strikeout of the game for Harrell. A 1-2-3 inning. We've completed 5, and the Astros are up 3-0. The 2012 Ford F-150, built for tough. And by MasterCard. Shop and pay your bills online with MasterCard prepaid cards. That is the boomstick, and it costs $27. I can't believe Tommy had 3 of those before the game.
I'll tell you what, the way these guys are pitching, you might not have time to finish this in 9 innings.
You know, that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner right there. Jed Lowry leading off for the Astros in the 6th against Justin Grimm, who hangs in there. Justin Grimm has allowed 3 runs on 6 hits. He has struck out 7. And Lowry homered in the first inning, bounced out to Moreland at first base last time up. And he hits another ground ball. It's a fair ball, and once again Moreland makes the play unassisted. Out number 1 in the 6th inning. Well, if you're just joining us, here's the game summary. The Astros, who trail 3-1 of the Rangers in this year's season series. Lucas Harrell, who has the only win for the Astros, doing a terrific job on the mound. Justin Grimm in his major league debut struck out 5 in a row, has 7 already, and Jed Lowry with a home run in the first inning set the tone for Houston. Here's Brett Wallace, 0 for 2, struck out twice. Michael Kirkman has been up again for the Rangers in their bullpen. And the count 1-1 now. There is Kirkman.
You won't see many big league hitters hold the bat the way that Brett Wallace holds the bat. Watch his hands. He's got finger and a half basically wrapped on the outside of his bottom hand. He's a true bottom hand hitter. Goes back to his days at Arizona State. The hitting coach there, who's now the head coach, Tim Esme, had a drill.
There's a breaking ball, and it misses.
The guys would wrap the hand around the top hand around the bottom hand just to feel the whip of the bat. And you know what? The drill worked so well, he decided to hit that way.
Line drive right to Andrews for out number 2. That's the interlocking grip in golf.
Exactly right. He looks like he belongs at an Olympic club this weekend. But, Dick, I asked him, I said, how good are you at golf? And you know what he said? I don't play.
Oh.
I couldn't believe it.
Well, he has the grip right. Or one of the two you can use. Here's Chris Johnson. Took a call, third strike, and flied to right. And ball 1. Well, you wrote a story this week about is the no-hitter becoming too common?
It does seem that way, especially when you get 5 this year, 3 in a 13-day span this month. But, Dick, this is, I think, the result of seeing pitching come back in this game, not just this year, but the last 4 or 5 years. It's tougher to get a hit in the big leagues based on batting average than since before we had the DH, going back to 1972.
Slow roller to Andrews. And a 1-2-3 inning for Justin Grimm, coming back after giving those 2 runs up in the 5th. Rangers coming up in the 6th, trailing 3-0. The Astros lead the Rangers 3-0, and the Rangers coming up. They'll lead off with Craig Gentry, the number 9 hitter, and then the top of the order, Ian Kinsler and Elvis Andrews. Gentry reached on a fielder's choice. Scored the only run in a 1-0 victory earlier this week against the Diamondbacks, but Lucas Harrell has the edge right now with a 3-0 lead, allowing a single in the 3rd and a double in the 4th.
And we talked about his style of sinking the ball with power is suited for the extra rest, and so far that has held true. He only allowed 1 home run when he pitches with the extra day of rest. And key, anytime you pitch against the Texas Rangers, keep the ball in the ballpark.
And a base hit up the middle on the first pitch to Gentry. So the second time tonight that the Rangers have the leadoff man aboard. Hit number 3 against Harrell, and that'll bring up the top of the order, Ian Kinsler. Kinsler is 0 for 2, and now 0 for his last 14.
Now let's see if it gets a count favorable. If Ron Washington wants to play hit and run here, I like the fact if a guy is slumping, Let him think small by putting the ball in play and starting the runner. And Harrell is a guy around the plate.
And a base hit to left field by Kinsler. 2 pitches and 2 base hits for the Rangers. And they have runners at first and second with nobody out. And Elvis Andrus coming up as the tying run coming to the plate.
Well, that's even better as a manager. Go ahead and attack the first pitch fastball. They've done it back-to-back here. Here's the fastball, just middle of the plate. Didn't have the same sink on it.
So a big test right here for Lucas Harrell, giving up back-to-back singles to Gentry and Kinsler, and Andrus, who's 0 for 2, coming to the plate as the potential tying run, and Michael Young, the DH, on deck.
It's amazing how just a few inches in location make a big difference. If you drew a line across the bottom of the strike zone, generally at the knees, hitters hit 220 on those pitches at that level and below. You get the ball up above there, and that's what happened on that last pitch, it becomes much more hittable.
Also offering on the first pitch is Andrus, and he hits it sharply but foul.
Looks like they had a team meeting, huh? Let's go swing at the first pitch, guys. He's around the plate. Not a lot of mystery other than Beltre's attacked everybody with fastballs. Typically, that's what he does. About 70-75% of his pitches are going to be fastballs.
Infield at double play depth, and Altuve trying to keep the runner at second close. There's the bunt, a beauty. The no throw to third, the throw to first for the out. And Chris Snyder doing a good job. Saw he had no play on Craig Gentry, who's got the speed, going to third, and gets Andrus at first. And the sacrifice is successful. Runners and 2 runners in scoring position.
Yeah, he's trying to bunt for a base hit here. There's no question about it. That's part of his game. He does move the runners up. I got to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of the bunt in that situation. Down by 3 runs. Now, I realize it gets you back in the game, and I understand he is trying to get a base hit. I think when you've got a pitcher you've had good swings against there, and you have a big inning in order, I don't want to give up an out. And again, he's not totally sacrificing himself. I understand that. But I think the Astros right there would take the out.
Runners now at second and third. Michael Young has bounced out twice. And a comebacker, and they got the runner at third trapped off. And the throw is not in time. And everyone's going to be safe. They waited too late to try to get Gentry. And he got back to third, and everybody is safe. And the bases are loaded with 1 out, and Beltre coming up.
The Texas Rangers here with the contact play on. You'll watch Gentry break here. He thinks the ball might get through. No, nice play, Harrell. Now you've got him in the rundown. This drop here by Snyder just opens the door a little bit for a guy with tremendous speed, giving him time to get back to the base.
So Snyder dropped the ball, and that gave Gentry enough time to get back to third, and the bases are loaded now.
One thing I'd rather see from Snyder there, to get in the same line as the third baseman. In other words, get into the middle of the field. The third baseman
I got the bat!
in the middle
I got
of the
the
field.
bat!
Hear the umpire calling out instructions to each other. And there's nobody at first base there because Brett Wallace is getting himself involved in the rundown as he should be. But to me, the fact that third baseman had to throw across the line, the foul line, made the play more difficult than it should have been.
Here's Beltre, takes inside ball 1, so it's a fielder's choice. There's no error on the play, and Young is on at first. Kinsler at second, Gentry the runner at third. Beltre doubled his last time up. 1 for 2, and a big opportunity for the Rangers, who trail 3-0. Tying runners at first base in Michael Young. Rangers coming in leading the American League with a .281 batting average and topping the league in runs scored. Foul ball. And 1-1 the count to Beltre.
Now, I'm not an official scorer, but I play one on TV. I think that has to be an error. It's Major League Baseball here. You get a rundown here, they had it out in order. I guarantee you ask Brad Mills, he would tell you, we need to execute that play. That's an extra out we just gave Texas.
Michael Kirkman and Robbie Ross. Two lefties in the bullpen for the Rangers, and Wesley Wright, a left-hander, joining Fernando Rodriguez, a righty. So we have double-barreled action in both barrel pens right now.
Yeah, huge at bat in the game right here for Lucas Harrell. We talked about this at the top, that I thought this was his most difficult batter-pitcher matchup. Strength on strength, good low ball fastball hitter. Needs to execute here, looking for a double play.
1 out, 2 balls and a strike, bases loaded, ground ball, base hit into left field. Gentry will score. Kinsler comes around to score, and it's 3-2. Holding at second is Michael Young, and Beltre with an RBI. Base hit, getting home 2 runs now with 41 RBIs on the year.
Well, we talked about this matchup here. We saw last time where he went to cutters and breaking balls. Here he had to go back to his strength in the bases loaded situation. This is there. Now here's the pitch. Fastball over the plate. And again, Beltre eats up low fastballs. But I think in that situation, Lucas Harrell couldn't get cute and go to secondary stuff. Had to go to his strength. Strength against strength. Beltre wins the battle.
So 2 singles, a sacrifice, and a fielder's choice, and then Beltre delivers with a base hit. And it's 3-2. There's a fly ball deep to left field. Way back. Cruz. Home run. Nelson Cruz. A 3-run home run, and the Rangers take the lead. So even without Josh Hamilton, who is out of this series with an intestinal virus, the big bats, and boy, did they get it done in a hurry here, Tom.
Just a replay of what happened last night here. Here's the pitch again. Right where Cruz likes it, inside half of the plate. He knew it. But last night we saw an error by Chris Johnson lead to a 5-run inning when Jordan Lyles was cruising along. And here, once again, not an error on the rundown play, but an out that should have been made, wasn't executed. And you open the door for the Rangers, and they will not just come through it, they will pound it down.
David Murphy, who's 0 for 2, and it's 5-3 in favor of the Rangers. 4 hits this inning, including the 3-run blast by Nelson Cruz. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Murphy. Still only 1 out. And the Rangers exploding after Lucas Harrell. Very impressive through the first 5.
Once again, the damage on the first pitch by the Texas Rangers in this inning.
And there's a looper behind second. Altuve offline, and safe at first is Murphy with a base hit. That's the 5th hit here in the 6th inning. And a runner at first. Still 1 out, and Mike Napoli coming up, but Cruz with the big blow here.
And once again, first ball, fastball hitting here. They changed their approach this inning and did just tremendous damage. And if you are the Texas Rangers, they've seen it before with Nelson Cruz. No better sign than to see this guy get hot. Because when he gets hot, he gets red hot.
9 home runs and 39 runs batted in, and that'll be all for Lucas Harrell. As Brad Mills comes out to the mound, and we'll be back to Arlington. What a rapid development change we've had. The new Astros pitcher is Fernando Rodriguez, the 27-year-old from El Paso, Texas. Pitched a 1-2-3 eighth inning Thursday at San Francisco, but gave up a 3-run homer to Orlando Hudson against the White Sox last Sunday, and in relief of Lucas Harrell.
Yeah, fastball, curveball, fastball. He'll run it up there, 93, 94. Very good curveball. Basically, he's a change from Harrell. He's a fly ball pitcher. At times can have issues with control. Once again, Brad Mills asking his bullpen to pick up many outs. This will be 5 straight games his bullpen needs to pick up at least 9 outs.
And it's almost a case of you didn't see this one coming, the way Harrell was going. Here's Mike Napoli. Murphy on at first base, 1 out. 5 runs in for the Rangers here in the 6th inning. Starts him off with a curveball, 1-0. Napoli with a single in 2 trips.
Well, Rodriguez is a starting pitcher's best friend. And why is that? Well, he's inherited 15 runners this year. None of them have scored. He's the best in Major League Baseball.
Right now, just trying to keep from making it worse for the Astros. He was sailing along, leading 3-0, getting a terrific pitching performance from Harrell. And once again, you talk about the young team making that miscue at the worst possible time.
Yeah, and Brad Mills talked about that. They're going to make mistakes. It's how they respond to them. They need to pick each other up. Don't panic.
1-0 pitch. 2-0 now to Napoli.
But that's one thing they've had difficulty with. That's how a 1-run inning becomes a 5-run inning. A mistake is made. Okay, you have to move on, get the next batter, pick up your defense, execute a pitch. Astros recently have had problems with that.
Rodriguez is behind Napoli 2-0, takes the big cut. 2 balls and a strike to Napoli.
That's a lot of 5-run innings right there. 8 of them. A team that can strike very quickly.
Very crooked numbers. 2 balls and a strike. Last year was a case for the Rangers of getting, Hamilton and Cruz off the disabled list for the offensive department. This year, it's more obviously in the pitching area, where they've had Naftali Feliz, Alexio Gondo, Derek Holland, all on the disabled list. There goes the runner. The pitch taken down for a ball. The throw to second, safe. Murphy with his 5th stolen base of the year, and the Rangers have another runner in scoring position, and the count goes to 3-1.
Typically not a stolen base threat, but he saw something there. You see the big slow delivery of Rodriguez. Murphy takes advantage.
Still only 1 out, and the only out was the sacrifice by Andrews to advance the runners to second and third before Young was safe on the fielder's choice in the play in which they had Gentry dead to rights at third. Then Beltre singled and Cruz hit a 3-run homer. Foul ball. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Robbie Ross, the left-hander, is the only pitcher just standing and waiting. He has warmed up enough in the Rangers bullpen. And right now, it is Justin Grimm's game to win.
And that's why I believe they will make a change. Certainly, the way Grimm threw the last inning, he's got more left in him, but he's in position to win. Great time to take him out.
Foul ball by Napoli, stays alive.
In other words, he's pitched so well in this game, Dick, that you want to reward that effort. You don't want to put a young pitcher like that, especially on his first day in the big leagues, in a situation where it all can come unraveled in the next inning. Take him out on a positive. Bullpen's very well rested.
I think the scout and the parents would agree. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Napoli. Murphy with the lead at second base. Fly ball drifting out of play. Brad Mills, in his second year as manager of the Astros, was the bench coach for Terry Francona in Boston. They got one of their good young players in Jed Lowry.
He had his most famous moment, if you will, as a strikeout victim of Nolan Ryan when he broke Walter Johnson's all-time strikeout record.
Again, the 3-2. And this is popped up middle of the diamond. And all of a sudden, Chris Johnson calls for it. They had Brett Wallace right on the mound. And Johnson makes the catch to retire Napoli for out number 2.
See Nolan Ryan there that broke the record on a called strike 3. President Bush there right next to him enjoying the game. Called strike 3, and Brad Mills swore it was outside, that it was not a strike. A couple years later, Brad Mills actually went to spring training with the Texas Rangers. Went out in the field one day for some early work. Nolan Ryan, then with the Rangers, walks by. Doesn't say hello, says the ball was outside. He could admit it a couple of years later.
Here's Mitch Moreland, the 9th batter to come up for the Rangers here in the 6th. Moreland reached on a fielder's choice and struck out. 5 runs in here in the 6th inning. Runner at second base and a breaking ball up high. Fair ball. Wallace to Rodriguez for the final out. So 9 men come up and 5 cross the plate for the Rangers. And Nelson Cruz with the booming home run driving in 3. And it's the Rangers 5, Astros 3 as we move to the 7th. Is presented by Budweiser. And the Rangers with a 5-3 lead, and they have gone to their bullpen. Robbie Ross in relief of Justin Grimm, and Brian Bogusevic fouls off the first pitch for a strike. So there you see Ross in relief of Grimm, who made his major league debut tonight, worked 6 innings, allowed 3 runs, gave up 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, and no walks, and a home run back in the first inning. 0-2 now to Bogusevic.
Well, you saw that 6-0 record. You can see he's an important part of this bullpen. Comes in a lot of tie games, benefits from the offense and the comebacks in that Rangers lineup.
And there's a pitch missing, 1-2.
You know, there was some talk about having Ross take this start, but he's such an important part of this bullpen, especially with the injuries.
Slowly hit, and a fair ball, and the flip made by Ross to Moreland for the first out. Well, earlier between innings we had the Legends race, and Nolan Ryan certainly enjoyed that, because there's Nolan Ryan and Earl Campbell, the great running back for the Houston Oilers, and Ryan wins the race. And boy, did he enjoy that, and President Bush as well at the time.
You know, what we didn't see was that Earl Campbell fumbled that football he was carrying. That's the only reason I knew it wasn't the real Earl Campbell, because Earl Campbell never fumbled. That's
a shot at the Houston great football star as Martinez swings and misses for a strike. You know, you mentioned a lot of people thought Robbie Ross should start this game. Nolan Ryan actually hinted the fact that he thought that that wouldn't be a bad idea, but said, I let the managers manage, you know, and you would think, well, Nolan Ryan knows pitching. He'll make the suggestion to Ron Washington, but he said, look, Ron's going to make the move, but he didn't think it was a bad idea for Ross to make the start.
Well, that's a pretty good voice to have if you're a manager, whether you use the suggestion or not. He's a great sounding board on all things baseball, but obviously especially pitching. But yeah, I think that shows how much they think of Robbie Ross. He's a guy, he's not a left-handed specialist. He gets out right-handers as well as he does left-handers. Fastball, slider, 2 really good pitches, really attacks the strike zone.
And there have been a lot of pitchers, Mark Burley, we can go on and on, who started in the bullpen and then became starters. And Ross may be headed that way. Foul at the plate, and that got a piece of Martinez. And you're right, we've had that, and the dance goes on for J.D. Martinez.
Hitters hate it, pitchers love it. Tells you he's a good downward action ball in the zone. J.D.'s got one of those no stride swings. He's a guy that's been searching for it all year. I mean, this guy has hit and hit and hit, but he's had some just horrendous stretches this year. He had a 1-for-36 stretch where Brad Mills gave him 3 or 4 days off. But he's going to hit. There's no doubt about that. Again, youngest team in baseball. You live with the inconsistencies. I'd like to see him settle on one approach at the plate. I'd actually like to see a little more movement in his swing, because he can be and should be a big-time power guy.
Had his first career Grand Slam home run on Thursday out in San Francisco, and he leads the Astros with 37 runs batted in and still trying to shake it off. So when it gets to that bone, that's a tough one.
Should watch his front foot here. It's not going anywhere. You know, typically you're going to see that from a guy with not a lot of power. I'd like to see him use the lower half a little bit more. I know you try to keep things simple. It's a big thing in the game now. Get your foot down as quickly as you can. But I'd like to see him generate a little more power and rhythm from his lower half.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. And a ground ball to second. And Kinsler will make the play. 2 ground balls and 2 outs. Well, play Fox Baseball Hot Streak and win cash prizes. It's as easy as picking a player, picking a stat, and starting a hot streak. Plus, pick 15 straight correctly and win $15 in Fox Sports Shopping Bucks. Log on to foxsports.com/fantasy and start your streak today. 2 down to Justin Maxwell. And again, if you've joined us late, you say, I'm sure those Astros have worn those uniforms before, and they have. This is the 1986 vintage for both of these teams, the Astros and the Rangers. 86 was a pretty good year for Houston Astros.
It was. Great team, built up pitching in the old Astrodome. The epitome of a pitcher's ballpark.
Taking all the way and taking a strike. 2 out. And the count to Maxwell, no balls and 2 strikes. Facing Robbie Ross, 22-year-old left-hander from Lexington, Kentucky, in relief of Justin Grimm. Mentioned the 6 wins, leading all big league relievers with those 6 victories. The 0-2, and he's out of there. Called third strike, and a 1-2-3 inning for Robbie Ross. Astros retired in the 7th, and the Rangers are up 5-3. Astros coming to bat, or the Rangers batting in the bottom of the 7th. This MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. And along with Tom Verducci, senior writer from Sports Illustrated, interesting game tonight. Whenever you see a guy making his major league debut, and right now Justin Grimm stands to be the pitcher of record if the Rangers hold their lead.
Very impressive. And if you're a Rangers fan and you took that 6th inning to go buy one of those boomstick hot dogs, bad choice, because in a blink of an eye, the Texas Rangers threw up 5 runs on the board.
I think Nelson Cruz used one of those boomsticks to hit that 3-run homer to give them the lead. Mike Adams is warming up in the Rangers bullpen. And as we said, the 19th sellout of the year tonight, 48,288 in attendance for a team that has a 4-game lead over the Angels in the AL West. Gentry leading off as the Rangers batted around to get their 5 runs last inning, reached on a fielder's choice, singled and scored a run last inning. Facing Fernando Rodriguez. Curveball in for a strike. Rodriguez in relief of Lucas Harrell. Check swing and a ball 1-1. Well, wouldn't you know it, there was another possible no-hitter tonight. And they just keep coming, don't they? And but we'll find out what happened with that in a moment. 1 ball and 1 strike to the leadoff hitter, Craig Gentry, here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the count now is 2-1.
About the San Diego Padres.
Wow.
They want to say, hey, when do we get invited to this no-hitter party? The only franchise left without one, now that Santana got his for the Mets.
2 balls, 2 strikes as Gentry fouls it off. Gentry struggled against right-handed pitching earlier in the year, but has been coming into this game 5 for his last 11. Now 6 for 13.
And again, we talked about Ron Washington putting him in the lineup against a right-handed pitcher today. And sure enough, you get to the 6th inning, and it was Gentry who got the ball rolling with the first pitch, fastball hit to start that big 5-run inning.
Shot up the middle and a base hit. Gentry, with his 2nd hit in as many innings, starts it off for the Rangers in the 7th. And right now, let's go to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break.
Dick, Baltimore right-hander Jason Hamill took a no-hit bid into the 8th in his first start as a Bird. Tonight, his bid for history ends after 7 2/3. His bid for a shutout, even a complete game shutout, Tom Verducci, is still alive in Atlanta. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Dick and Tom.
All right, Matt, and there you see the no-hitters pitched this season already. And the brilliant, perfect game by Matt Cain, striking out 14. That was the first perfect game in the 130-year history of the Giant franchise, which started in New York.
And ties the record of Sandy Koufax for the most strikeouts.
Right.
In a perfect game of 14.
Here's Ian Kinsler, who's 1 for 3. There goes the runner, and on a bounce, the ball goes into center field. Gentry is going to advance to third base. Nobody out. And Craig Gentry gets a stolen base and goes to third on an error by the catcher, Chris Snyder.
Well, you hear about ground balls eating up an infielder. Not too often you hear about a throw eating up an infielder. Again, strange infield here where that ball just came up violently on Jose Altuve. That was self-preservation, more so than trying to block the ball. But I think the Astros have had issues this year in terms of defending the running game. And it certainly has shown up here tonight. And now, with the score of 5-3, they need to bring the infield in.
9th stolen base of the year for Gentry. He's at third with nobody out, and the count 0-1 to Kinsler. As the Rangers look to add to their 5-3 lead here in the 7th. Fernando Rodriguez. Swinging at the fastball, fouling it back is Kinsler. Rangers are trying to make it 4 out of 5 against Houston, and a win tonight, and this is really significant, Tom. They would win the Silver Boot Trophy by winning tonight's game.
That's a huge deal. It's actually a very beautiful trophy.
Yeah. Check swing in the dirt. Good play by Snyder there.
In fact, I think they used one of your cowboy boots, Dick, for a model for that trophy.
Well, if they did, it would be one I don't own. You know, by the way, coming into the game, and this is critical too, the Rangers had a 7-run lead in those games because, you know, that's the tiebreaker in case they would have split.
Everybody knows that. The run differential for the Silver Boot Series, that's the tiebreaker.
I know. Meanwhile, a ball and 2 strikes, nobody out, infield in. Gentry, the runner at third, check swing again in the dirt, and did not go around, says first base umpire Dale Scott. And this is the Silver Boot Trophy. Yes.
That look familiar, Dick? I think that's your size.
Yes. 92.
The Rangers are going to retire this trophy. It'll be interesting next year. They play obviously more than just 6 games. They'll be division rivals in the AL West. Schedule not out yet, but figure somewhere between 15 and 18 times.
They'll be kissing cousins then. 2-2. And a shot to center field and a base hit for Kinsler. Gentry scores, and it is now 6-3 in favor of the Rangers. And for Kinsler, his second hit in the last 2 innings and his 32nd RBI of the year. 6-3 the score. And now it's time for Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat. Look at Jed Lowry ranking among shortstops right near the top in those categories. Just as the Houston Astros can count on Jed Lowry, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results. Elvis Andrus sacrificed his last time up, 0 for 2. Ball 1 from Rodriguez. There's still nobody out, a run in for the Rangers. One time they trailed 3-0, got 5 last inning, and have a run in here. Big swing and a miss, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. So Kinsler, who had gone 0 for 14, now has singles in his last 2 at-bats. And Mike and Tamara. Mike is on the phone telling everyone that I think our son is headed for a victory in his major league debut. 6-3 the Rangers lead. Striking out 7. Walking nobody. And by the way, the last major league debut by a pitcher who struck out 7 and didn't walk anyone was Steven Strasburg back on June 8th, 2010. Talk about being in high cotton.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. A little less build-up, but nonetheless, the result's just as impressive. And I think his dad, I hope he's got a phone charger with him, because I have a feeling he's going to be on that quite a lot the rest of the day.
Diving back and just getting back is Kinsler. There goes Kinsler. Pitch taken for a ball, and in a second with a stolen base. No chance for Snyder to make a throw. And Kinsler, second stolen base this inning for Texas.
Yeah, once again, watch the leg kick, slow delivery to the plate. Ball's in the dirt, it's a tough pitch to handle. But again, just almost conceding bases here on the running game for the Houston Astros.
9th stolen base for Kinsler. Gentry had his 9th stolen base a moment ago. So a runner at second, 2 balls, 2 strikes, still nobody out. Elvis Andrus with Michael Young, the DH, on deck. It's like all the pitches in the dirt. There is Young.
And we talked about that with Rodriguez. He's got a good breaking ball, but when he gets in trouble, he doesn't have command of that pitch. He can tend to be wild here. This bullpen has been stretched for the Astros in this week. So
have they ever?
This is his game right here.
Lead by Kinsler. Coming over is Altuve to keep him close. Fouls it away. Count remains 3-2. Fernando Rodriguez came in and got the last 2 outs of the 6th inning after the Rangers had scored 5 runs. Running into trouble here, giving up back-to-back singles to Gentry and Kinsler. A couple of stolen bases and another run for Texas. Yankees won earlier. They won their 8th straight game in beating the Washington Nationals 5-3 in a 14-inning game. Once again, the payoff pitch. Fly ball, right field. Bogusevic misjudged it, and it went. Caught it at the base of the wall. He started in first and then went back, but he caught it at the base of the wall for the first out. And tagging up and going to third is Kinsler, and now Brad Mills coming out to argue.
Well, he's going to argue that on this ball that Kinsler didn't get back to second base to tag the bat.
And on the appeal play, if they have an appeal play, the pitcher has to step on the rubber, step off, and throw to the bag.
Well, he has to do that if time is out. If time remains in, you can throw to the base immediately and appeal it. Right now, I think he's saying at least ask for some help here. Someone must have seen it. To the umpire's credit here, the group will get together. There's Dan Isonia here, C.B. Buckner. You know, it's obviously called in an umpire, not that they aren't on others. They have to be 100% certain that they saw the play.
Let's see it.
Well, he's going to argue that he left early. He certainly went back. We saw him touch the bag.
Well, Brad Mills came out to argue his point. So Kinsler remains at third. Nope, he tagged up. Michael Young, the infield in for the Astros, trailing now 6-3. Kinsler at third base. And Young hits a fly ball to medium right field. Bogusevic makes the catch. Here comes Kinsler. Here comes the throw. Not in time. And the Rangers get another run. 7-3. Young with his 26th run batted into the year. Well, Justin Grimm tonight was the better one tonight. Better, stronger, smarter. You'd have to say better in his major league debut. Striking out 5 in a row at one point and 7 in the game. And coming back strong after Lowry hit the home run, struck out 5. And after a tough inning by the Astros in the 7th, retiring the side in order. Brought to you by Mazda. Better, stronger, smarter, and that pitch well in on Beltre, who has a double and a single in his last 2 times up and 2 RBIs. So it's a 7-3 game. 2 down. The bases are clear, and a big cut by Beltre.
He took exception to that first pitch and decided, I'm just going to sell out on this pitch right here. One of the more entertaining swings in the game. We've seen him hit many home runs where he gets down on that back leg.
Fly ball center field. Jordan Schaefer near the warning track makes the catch, and that'll do it. But the Rangers add 2 more runs and have a 7-3 lead as the Astros come to bat in the 8th. Budweiser is sponsored by Prudential. Prudential, bring your challenges. And by the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway MPG. Want to remind you to tune in to tomorrow on Fox Sports Houston and Fox Southwest for the final game of this series. Coverage starts at 1:30 p.m. Central. New pitcher for the Rangers is Mike Adams. 33-year-old veteran, last outing, picked up the win Wednesday against the Diamondbacks with 2/3 of a scoreless inning. 8th year in the big leagues, acquired from San Diego for the stretch run last year. Will face Chris Snyder, 0 for 2, the number 9 hitter for the Astros in their lineup. Ball 1 to him. Rangers lead 7-3. They were trailing 3 runs, scored 5 in the 6th, 2 more in the bottom of the 7th, and both runs that inning were earned. Time called. Cruz is up in the Astros bullpen.
Adams a key part of this Texas bullpen. He's a guy who's going to challenge hitters. Doesn't walk many. You see the majority of his pitches will be the cutter.
And a base hit past Andrews into left center field. So Snyder with his first hit of the game. Leading off here in the 8th inning, and Jordan Schaefer, the leadoff batter, coming up. That's the 7th hit for the Astros. Schaefer is 2 for 3 with a couple of singles and an RBI. And a stolen base, his 16th of the year. Justin Grimm trying to pick up the win in his major league debut. Showing bunt. Schaefer taking the pitch for a ball.
Yeah, I think the bunt is a good play here. I'm actually surprised that Mitch Moreland's going to play behind the runner at first base. I mean, they need base runners. Jordan Schaefer has 5 bunt hits this year. He had a great drag bunt to get on base. His job here is to get on base. And we've seen him do it last night to drag that ball to the first base side. Mitch Moreland behind the runner.
Swings away, and there's a ball hit down the line. Fair ball. Extra bases. Snyder rounding second, going to third, and into second with a double is Schaefer. So a 3-hit night for Jordan Schaefer. And with nobody out, the Astros have runners at second and third.
Jordan Schaefer just spraying the ball all over the ballpark tonight. Here he gets a fastball he can handle and turn on it. We saw him go the other way to drive in a run with a base hit.
So 8 hits for the Astros, and 4 of them have been extra base hits. Or 5 make it. 5 of the 8. Home run by Lowry and 4 doubles.
Yeah, I think Mike Adams came into this game with a 4-run lead and started throwing challenge fastballs. And I think now that he's in trouble here, I expect you'd see a lot more of those cutters coming from Mike Adams.
Jose Altuve has a double back in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. So if Altuve can get the runners home, that makes the game a lot more interesting here in the 8th inning, as the Rangers trying to hold on to the advantage.
Well, he's a good guy to have up there. I mean, you don't think of a guy as a 5'5" as an RBI guy, but in situations like this, situational hitting, you know he's going to put the bat on the ball. Doesn't hit the ball in the air too often.
And you got Jed Lowry on deck. The 0-1 pitch. And a ground ball handled by Adams. Holds the runner at third and throws out Altuve. Not that easy a play. Looked like a short hop. And Adams handled it for the first down. Runners remain at second and third. Here's Lowry.
Yeah, and here's a guy, we know that Carlos Lee out of the lineup. It's especially important with Lowry in the 3-hole position to provide power. He's done it all year. leading all Major League shortstops in slugging percentage and home runs. I think he ought to start checking out the flights to Kansas City in July.
13 home runs. 12 was a career high for him. And he's on pace to get over 30 as he takes a call strike. Lowry with 13 homers and 30 runs batted in. Second baseman Kinsler is playing a step on the outfield grass. Good fastball. And it's 0-2 to Jed Lowry.
Yeah, you figured here when he was in trouble that start featuring that cutter more, and he's gotten ahead on Lowry here with that pitch.
Snyder is at third. Jordan Schaefer at second. There, throw to third base. Safe, just barely. Did Snyder get back on a good throw by Napoli, and they very nearly picked off Chris Snyder.
Yeah, they'll work off a sign on these, especially when you've got an 0-2 count. You can throw a fastball up out of the zone, easy for the catcher to handle the ball and get rid of it. You see Beltre moving almost on delivery of the pitch. Catcher and third baseman will communicate, sometimes by sign, sometimes it's just a matter of the right eye contact. 0-2 is the best time to do that. You can afford to waste a pitch up and away, give the catcher a clear shot at third base.
Count remains 1-2. Well, you mentioned Jed Lowry, and maybe he will be in Kansas City, and you look at what he's done and look at the other candidates, you'd have to give him the edge.
Yeah, I mean, we're so used to the knee-jerk reaction saying Troy Tulowitzki, right? Well, not this year because of the leg injury that he's had. And he'll be out for a while now with some complications there. So I got to believe right now the leader in the clubhouse, Jed Lowry.
Tulowitzki, however, is the vote leader right now, but we'll see what happens. And reaching for that pitch outside, and Lowry chases strike three, and that's the second out here in this eighth inning. That'll bring up Brett Wallace. 0 for 3 tonight, struck out twice. Last time up, lined out to Andrews at shortstop. Rangers lead 7-3. Trying to get to 12 games over 500 for the first time this year. Swing and a miss. Strike one.
Yeah, you see him start to feature the changeups and the cutters here. Has started the inning off with that 4-run lead with fastballs, and now he's throwing the kitchen sink up there. Difficult at bats for left-handed hitters against his stuff.
Time called, and Napoli will go out and talk to Adams.
You know, we talked about Carlos Lee and the Astros, assuming all goes well. They think he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. He's back from that injured hamstring. Makes you wonder what happens to this guy right here. Brett Wallace has done a nice job. Here he is hitting cleanup. Always hitting the minor leagues. Career .303 hitter in the minors. .859 OPS. This has not had a consistent run on the big league level.
And it was tough for him when he came up with the Nationals in 09. Big swing and a miss. Way in front of that one, and it's 0-1. Sometimes it's the second teamer that makes the big difference.
Well, he went through a period there. He got traded 3 times in a 13-month period. His head must have been spinning, but hasn't seen a fastball yet. Let's see if Adams wants to show him one right here.
Runners at second and third, 2 down. And he's hit by the pitch and will trot down to first base. So Snyder will have to go back to third. Wallace hit by a pitch, and that will load the bases to Chris Johnson.
Yeah, he doesn't throw many curveballs, but he decided to show him one here at 0-2. And it just kept riding in on him. Wallace does the right thing. He doesn't go anywhere. Go ahead and hit me. 78, 79 miles an hour. Yeah, I can take that.
So now it's Chris Johnson, who's 0 for 3. Bases are loaded, 2 down. And the tying run is at the plate. Johnson has 5 home runs this year. And takes strike 1 from Adams. Snyder is at third. Schaefer at second, and Wallace with the lead at first. Slowly hit, third baseman Beltre throws out Chris Johnson, and that'll do it as the Astros lead the bases loaded. And an opportunity goes down the drain. Rangers come up in the bottom of the 8th, leading 7-3. Is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward, and by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Rangers up 7-3, batting in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Astros will come in with their third pitcher of the game, Cruz, who gave up the solo home run to Mitch Moreland last night. 25-year-old from Santo Domingo. And he'll be facing Nelson Cruz. One swing of the bat gave the Rangers their lead with a 3-run homer in the 6th.
And Cruz not a comfortable at bat at all for a right-handed hitter. Big time power arm, fastball slider. Not the best of control. He's a Rule 5 pick out of the Met system. You can see why the Astros took the flyer on him as a Rule 5 pick, because he has such a big arm. The control can be an issue with him, especially losing the ball to right-handers up and in on the arm side.
1 ball, 1 strike. Rookie who started out in strong fashion but has allowed 12 runs in 4 June outings and at least 1 home run in each of his last 4 appearances. Strike 2 to Cruz, 1-2.
Yeah, you can see why they like that arm when you can mix in that 82-mile-an-hour breaking ball and come back with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 96. Just need to harness the control. Two balls and 2 strikes. Joe Nathan was warming up for the Rangers.
They've had that great 1-2 punch of Adams and Nathan this year to finish games. Not a save situation, but it's a game-saving situation. 4 keys to the game, Tom.
Yeah, we talked about getting length from Lucas Harrell. It looked good for 4 innings, but then it all kind of came apart. For 5 innings, it all came apart. And the new bridge to Nathan, well, they've got it done between Ross and Adams. We talked about Ross getting pushed.
Cruz strikes out.
Into a higher leverage situation, and he came through.
All right, let's hear the sounds of the game. Umpire Bill Miller behind the plate.
They want his first strikeout ball, so I'm going to forget. Oh, that's going to hurt. Yeah, that's a catch. No, ball's inside. CB? CB says no. I got the bat. I got the bat.
Very active night by Bill Miller, and you have to be active and you have to be alert, and he had a lot to do with all of those players fouling shots off of their foot.
He's done a great job back there. What I really liked there, too, was he went right away on those check swings. You know, some guys don't want to check or they'll wait for the catcher to ask.
David Murphy. And the count to Murphy, 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 for 3 with an infield hit and a stolen base. Was the batting hero last night when the Rangers scored 5 runs in the 5th. Tonight, they got the 5 runs in the 6th. Foul tip into the glove of Snyder, and the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Reiner Cruz. Lucas Harrell started, worked 5 1/3, gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, including the 3-run homer by Nelson Cruz. Fernando Rodriguez in an inning and 2/3 gave up 2 runs. And now Reiner Cruz. 1 out, base is empty, and the count runs full to Murphy with Napoli on deck.
And we talked about a Rule 5 pick. The Rule 5 pick means he was left unprotected by his organization, was available to be drafted. The only catch to that situation is if you draft that player off someone's roster as a Rule 5 pick, you must keep them on the Major League roster the entire season. A lot of times that's tough for a contending team to do. But for a rebuilding team, the youngest team in baseball, such as the Houston Astros, it's a great opportunity to fortify your farm system or Major League system with a power arm who needs more work. You can afford to be patient. Nothing against the rules of sending him to the minor leagues next year if they think he needs more seasoning or if they want him to start.
A lot of options. Once again, the payoff pitch out to left field, and it's a fair ball into the corner, chased by Maxwell, and David Murphy will have a double. So Murphy now 2 for 4 on the night. Rangers with a runner at second, 1 out, and Mike Napoli coming up.
Check out this swing by David Murphy. Nice and easy here. I think his eyes were closed there, Dick. Don't tell anybody, though. But no, that's a great approach there. Just really protecting the plate, not trying to do too much with the ball, and still be able to square it up.
And Mike Napoli coming up with 1 out and a runner at second base. So Murphy, who was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs last night, has 2 more hits tonight against the Astros. Strike 1 to Napoli. He has 1 hit in 3 trips. High fly ball left field. Going back is Maxwell on the warning track. Comes in to make the catch. That got a lot of airtime there. Napoli flies out to left field. and there are 2 down. Well, this July, don't miss the biggest event of the summer as baseball's greatest stars battle for home field advantage in the Fall Classic. The road to the World Series begins with the 2012 MLB All-Star Game Tuesday, July 10th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. Two down to Mitch Moreland. 0 for 3 tonight. Murphy remains at second base. Nathan ready to come in the 9th inning. Foul ball down the first base line.
We talked about the Astros. They'll be intra-divisional rivals next year with the Rangers. Listen, I think this team is on the right track. They've got some money coming up in the offseason in terms of the contract of Carlos Lee, possibly Brandon Lyon. They have a new TV deal that kicks in next year with another $30 million. They've got room to grow, but grow, that's what they must do when you're in a division with the Angels and the Rangers.
And the foul out of play. The AL West standings.
We talk about television money. Well, the Rangers and the Angels have been able to do a lot in the last couple of years with the increase in their television revenues. That's not going to change. Both those organizations have very good farm systems. But the Astros themselves have a high upside. Their ownership, Jim Crane, believes that in the next 5 or 6 years, you could be talking about a team that's top 6 or 7 in revenues in terms of the Houston Astros.
0-2 to Moreland. And it's outside. And, of course, the Angels later tonight will host the Arizona Diamondbacks. Joe Saunders, the former Angel, against Urban Santana. 1-2, 2 out.
And I don't think the Rangers thought that they had the Angels totally in their rearview mirror in that tough start the Angels had back in April.
Foul ball, and of course Ron Washington saying, as the season goes on, that Boston is going to have their moment, and Detroit will, and the Angels. You don't keep those solid teams down the whole way.
Totally agree with him on that, and I'll agree with Buck Showalter, who says the 162-game season does not allow for Cinderellas. Perhaps in the postseason, the teams that get to October all have earned it over the 6 months.
Mark Lowe has joined Joe Nathan in the bullpen for Texas. That breaks inside, and the count 2-2. Seven to 3, the Rangers lead. They were trailing 3-0 till they exploded for 5 in the 6th. And 2 more in the 7th inning. Another foul ball out of play off the bat of Mitch Moreland. 11 starters have made their big league debut this year. Record 4-4, 3 no decisions. And a big opportunity here to see that go to 5-4. Justin Grimm.
There's another guy who made his major league debut on the left there, HOU Darvish.
And he came back big time last night. Darvish tied a career high with 11 strikeouts, gave up 7 hits and 2 runs in 8 innings in a much needed comeback performance in the opening game of this series.
That's another guy with a good chance of being in Kansas City for the All-Star game. It's obviously a guy the fans love to see. An exciting pitcher to watch, strikeout pitcher. More importantly, I think he's earning his way there.
Runner at second, 2 down. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And a line drive right center field, and it's going to go to the wall for an extra base hit. Scoring is Murphy, and on at second with a double is Moreland, and it's an 8-3 lead now for Texas. RBI number 25 on the year for Mitch Moreland. Talk about add on. That's what the Rangers have done here in the latter stages of this game.
Yeah, they may be working themselves into a lead to give Joe Nathan a day off here. Not that he really needs one, but you mentioned it, the add-on runs, the tack-on runs. This Texas Rangers lineup, even without Josh Hamilton, just keeps coming at you. Talked about the change to the American League, and Mitch Moreland again out of the 8-hole, and Gentry out of the 9-hole, doing damage tonight.
Doug Brocail, the pitching coach. Fernando Abad in the bullpen now for Houston. We've had 7 two-base hits in this game for both sides. Reiner Cruz. Giving up a pair of doubles here in the 8th inning. And Greg Gentry. Gentry's had a big night. 2 singles. Scored 2 runs and a stolen base.
It's interesting. Sorry, Dick. You talk about if you look at the box score tomorrow, you'd say, boy, the Texas Rangers, they really supported Justin Grimm, didn't they? That offense made it easy for that young pitcher. Well, if you were here, you saw the fact that he pitched a lot of high-stress pitches in this game, had absolutely no runs to work with for the first 5 innings, kept his team in the game until the offense could break out.
And what an offense it's been, as we see. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and Gentry misses. So we have 2 hits from Gentry. Moreland's RBI double, and Murphy in the 6th spot with 2 hits. Not to mention Cruz with a 3-run homer. They spread it around tonight, have the Rangers offense. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. Moreland the runner at second.
You know, run support can be very influential, especially in one-loss records, but I think in this case it's a little deceiving. If you want to say the Texas Rangers scored 8 runs behind Justin Grimm's start, well, I guess factually that's true, but sort of camouflages all the hard work he had to do in the first 5 innings.
2 balls and 2 strikes now to Gentry. In fact, Ron Washington said we would like Justin Grimm to keep us in the game, and he did exactly that, but in a kind of obtuse way.
Yeah, that was exactly what Ron Washington wanted. Keep us in the game. I think maybe even a little more.
2-2 pitch. Strike 3, and that'll do it. But the Rangers get another run on Moreland's double. And Texas takes an 8-3 lead as the Astros come up in the ninth. Is presented by Budweiser. So Mark Lowe coming up on the mound to face the Astros in the 9th inning. Ryan Bogusevic takes the first pitch for a strike. Lowe pitched a scoreless inning in his last outing on Thursday. Those are his numbers. And it's fouled out of play by Bogusevic, who has a double in 3 trips and has scored one of the Astro runs. 8-3, the Rangers lead. And Justin Grimm, 3 outs away, watching from the dugout with his parents and the scout who signed him for his Major League debut and a victory in his first appearance. Ryan Coe, the scout. There is his parents, Mark and Tamara. And you know what? They've improved their seat location from the start of this game. Mark's having a good time. There's a looper down the left field line, and it's foul, and it's 1-2.
Look at those seats. Can you just imagine? Son's pitching his Major League debut, in line for the win. No walks, 7 strikeouts, the first pitcher to do that in his debut since Strasburg. And oh, by the way, just a couple of seats over there to their right, you got Nolan Ryan, the Texas legend, and President George W. Bush. Well, he was there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And why shouldn't the family be there after what the Rangers are seeing tonight?
I'll tell you what, and I'm so glad they brought in, as you mentioned, the scout who signed him. It's a big victory, not just for Justin Grimm, assuming they close this out, but for the entire player development staff. Think of all the coaches in the minor leagues that have worked with him, not just the scout who signed him. The instructors, the trainers. It's all a kinetic chain to develop a young player.
Bogusevic pops it, foul out of play. And again, Tom's been talking about Ryan Coe, the fact that he saw something in a pitcher who in 3 seasons at the University of Georgia had a record of 7-12 and an earned run average of 5.84.
And again, he went to the front office and they saw the numbers. Sell us. What do you like about the kid? And there was a lot to like. The arm action especially. Looks like a pitcher on the mound.
Bogusevic pops it. Foul territory. Beltre makes the catch. And there's 1 out. And here is tonight's Burger King smooth play of the game. And how smooth was this swing by Nelson Cruz in the 6th inning. 3-run homer, giving the Rangers the lead. At the time, 5-3. They've added 3 since then and have an 8-3 lead. And there's 1 out in the top of the 9th inning. And here is J.D. Martinez, the DH, who's 0 for 3 tonight. And the pitch outside, ball 1. So Martinez at bat, Napoli the catcher. Both attended Flanagan High School in Pembroke Pines, Florida. And now they're a couple of feet away from each other. The DH for the Astros and the catcher for the Rangers. Pop up, foul territory. Chasing it is Moreland, and it's out of play. One ball, 1 strike, and 1 out.
See Justin there on the right. He's actually drafted out of high school by the Boston Red Sox. He said they were interested. They wanted to watch him pitch in the summer league for a week or 2 outside of Baltimore. He said we never really got close in terms of getting a signing bonus, getting a deal done. And he's glad he went to Georgia. And he freely admits, Dick, I didn't pitch well at Georgia. He makes no bones about it.
And we talked about the lack of walks. Given up only 3 walks in the last 27 innings over his last 4 starts. No walks tonight, 7 strikeouts. So a pitcher who throws strikes did just that in his big league debut. And this isn't Double-A. It's a capacity crowd here at Arlington with the team in a pennant race.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. No walks in your big league debut in this environment. Just so impressive.
And there's a shot. Base hit into the corner. Martinez on his way to second and will get there with a double. Well, in honor of Father's Day, we'd like to thank the fathers of our production crew. Producer of tonight's game, Alan Gowan. Director, Norman Lynch. The associate director, Jeffrey Slosby. And the associate producer, Dan Kavanaugh. Our technical producer, Jack Rotante. And the technical director, Fred Berger. Pre-game show was produced by Rich Cencimino and directed by Mark Deaver, and the coordinating producers are Mike Santini and Don Bowie. We want to thank our production and technical crew for a job well done here in Arlington. Justin Maxwell to the plate. One out. Foul out of play. And I would like to thank my late father, Joe, who took me to the Polo Grounds when I was a kid, about 20 times a year. Got to see Willie Mays catch against the Indians in the '54 World Series. Explained the game of baseball to me, and it was my true love when I was 8, 9 years old.
Doesn't get any better than that. And I would echo that with my late father, Tony Verducci, a great high school baseball and football coach. And I'll tell you a quick story about Derek Holland. I was talking to him yesterday, talking about Father's Day, and his father is here, and he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go out in the field and have a catch.
Wow.
I mean, does it get any better than that?
No, that it doesn't get any better than that.
Doesn't matter whether you're 6 years old or 26 years old.
1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. And Martinez with the lead at second. Now it's 2-1. We're in the 9th inning, and the Rangers' 4th pitcher, Mark Lowe, trying to close out an 8-3 game here. Foul back. 2-2 now to Maxwell, who has a double and an RBI and has scored a run in 3 trips tonight.
And a happy Father's Day to Justin Maxwell's dad, Austin, who actually is a dentist, and one of his patients was here tonight, George Bush. His father
Here you go.
was a presidential dentist to both President Clinton and President Bush.
You know,
so I wonder if Justin walked over to the president and said, hey, how are those molars doing?
Or need a root canal? Either way.
Justin, impressive guy in his own right, not just his baseball abilities, but a degree from Maryland in veterinary sciences.
How many people can look in the mouths of 2 presidents? Count is full now, 3-2 to Maxwell. 1 out, J.D. Martinez on at second base. Last inning, the Astros loaded the bases. Had the tying run at the plate before Adams got Chris Johnson to end the inning. Strike 3 called. And Maxwell goes down for out number 2.
One more out to go. You were thinking the same thing. And they're thinking the same thing right now.
One more out. And Mark has his arms folded. Tamara's saying, can you believe this, Mark? Here's Chris Snyder, 1 for 3. We said it simultaneously. Two down, runner at second base. First pitch, ball 1. Well, Joe Nathan didn't come in the game tonight. And had he come in, we would have mentioned that he was the only player who attended Stony Brook, the Cinderella college that made the College World Series in Omaha. Lost to UCLA 9-1 last night.
The Seawolves, who play at Joe Nathan Field,
right,
Long Island.
So he didn't even have to be in the game for us to give Stony Brook a pop. Taken for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes to Chris Snyder. Astros on Jed Lowry's home run took a 1-0 lead. They added 2 more in the 5th. Lucas Harrell sailing along, and then the Rangers batted around in the 6th inning, getting 5 runs on 5 hits, and Nelson Cruz with the big blow, the 3-run homer, and then they added 3 runs since then. And here's a fly ball to center field, and this should do it. Craig Gentry makes the catch, and that'll do it. The game is over, and Justin Grimm wins in his major league debut, and the Texas Rangers win 8-3. That's all from Arlington, Texas. Coming up next, we'll send it back to the MLB Network studios for post-game coverage right after these messages.